Let's say hello to the mascot of Hard Reviews. Hello, Adam Ryan Donato.
Hello, Adam Ryan Donato.
Hello, welcome to another Hard Review, and I am here to talk about probably my most anticipated animated feature of the year. We have Kung Fu Panda 4. That's right, there's 4 of them now. We're kind of in a Toy Story 4 situation where we really wrapped up the trilogy in a really appropriate way, and then about 8 years later, we're like, you know what? There's more money to be made, baby. And DreamWorks is doing this with a lot of things, and we saw success with Puss in Boots and the Last Wish. That was a really great, fresh-feeling animated movie, and now we're gonna get a Shrek 5, we're getting a live-action How to Train Your Dragon movie trilogy, whatever. If people recognize the IP brand, then we are going to squeeze every single last drop out of it until it doesn't produce any more juice. But I really like Toy Story 4, so hey, maybe I will enjoy Kung Fu Panda 4. And did I? Meh. I thought that Kung Fu Panda 4 was extremely mid. So one of the things I enjoyed a lot about Puss in Boots The Last Wish is that the animation really took a step up. Not only has it been obviously over a decade, and so the animation just does look a lot better, it was stylized in a lot more interesting of a way that really makes it stand out from its predecessor. This, everything looks vaguely the same, except you get the chameleon. I really liked how they animated how she would change into other things, and you would see the little stones all over her. I thought that was cool. I remember from the first moment that I saw the trailer for this movie, I was like, oh, that's Cars 3. We have our main character who's supposed to be this really awesome, cool, top of their field kind of person. Now they are older and we're finishing off the story. They're gonna mentor their successor. Of course, our main character is gonna be like, no, I'm the coolest and I want to continue being this cool, awesome dude. And then, they're like, oh, I'm starting to become friends with this person that I'm supposed to train. And then, oh, surprisingly, this person who didn't really seem worthy at the beginning is now going to be the next, face of the franchise or whatever. So obviously this movie was the most predictable thing. I mean, there was one moment in this movie where I was like, oh shoot, that's okay, cool. But I feel stupid for even being like, oh, of course that character would do that. That's a plot point that really needs to happen in this story. Yeah, I don't know why I was surprised by that. And I know what you guys are thinking, Adam, this is a movie made for children. You are no longer 8 years old, which is 8 or 9 when the first movie came out. So I really hold this franchise really near and dear to my heart. First movie's a 5-star movie. The second movie's a 5-star movie. It's even better. It's the Dune Part 2 of the Kung Fu Panda trilogy. And then the third movie was a bit of a step down because I think one of the things that makes the first 2 movies sell is the villain, and the villain in the third one is not very personal. The villain in the fourth one, again, really isn't personal whatsoever. The only reason it's a little bit more personal for Po is because not only is she changing into Po, but she's also changing into Tai Lung, Shen, and everyone else that Po has ever faced. I love Viola Davis, and I thought her voice acting work here was really, really good. I think the character is a cool, fun character. Obviously, I know that the only reason they did a character like this is because it's legacy type movie. Remember Kung Fu Panda? Remember Tai Lung? Remember Shen? And it's okay, I get it. I remember these other better movies. Please stop reminding me of other better movies. But yeah, no, she was pretty on par with Kai. I think that's the name of the villain that J.K. Simmons played in the third movie. I don't really remember. One joke that's in this movie a lot, which speaking of Kai, they do the joke with Kai a lot in the third movie, so it's really annoying that they're continuing this joke. I'm sick and tired of when the characters are like, oh, I'm the legendary master whatever. And then the other characters are like, who? You know what I mean? It's oh, you mean you don't know me? And a character's all high and mighty about their legacy or whatever. Oh, they should be known, their popularity or whatever. And the other characters have no idea. And it's ha ha ha, we know Po, but they don't know Po. I'm just sick and tired of that joke. They did that 8 times in this movie, and it was not funny at all. That's the thing. This movie is significantly less funny than the 3 previous movies. We're kind of recycling jokes over and over again here. I feel like I've understood and worn out the bit of a lot of these characters. For example, Shifu, I'm tired of it. He's really funny, and I really like him. I love this scene. I think it's in Kung Fu Panda 2, where he's like, wow, you have mastered your chi. And in such short time. But there's nothing like that in this. He's very much so just doing the same old shtick. Nothing new, nothing fun. I guess one of the funnier subplots of this movie is when the dads... So Bryan Cranston, the panda dad from the third one, and James Hong, the goose dad from obviously the first 3, they are teaming up and going after Po to try to help him, save him, whatever. They keep following in the wake of Po, so they're like, oh, Poe was here. Clearly, I see his cutout. He was, causing terror here. Now we have to pick up the pieces of whatever his situation was. So they have to pretend to be badass and cool. And that was fun because I really like James Hong specifically, and Bryan Cranston's actually really funny too. But that really felt like filler stuff. Like we didn't have enough going on in this movie. And it really didn't matter at all. Like they didn't really get a, satisfying arc. That just felt like such a, we need them to be doing something. And it was really easy to be cynical about this movie because I'm watching it, especially when the three villains from the first three movies come back, and it's like, okay, Ian McShane's there and he's speaking a lot, but there's no dialogue from Shen, that's Gary Oldman. There's no dialogue from Kai, that's J.K. Simmons. Even the Furious Five, I remember when I worked in the trailer, people were like, oh my god, where is the Furious Five? That's a big part of the Kung Fu Panda franchise, and right at the beginning of the movie, they're like, so we know you might be expecting the Furious Five here, but Tigress is out here doing this, and Mantis is out here doing this, and Monkey, blah, blah, blah. So they give examples for why all of them are different places doing different things, when in reality, in my head, my cynical, I work at movies, so I know why decisions are made. It's just well, you didn't want to pay Angelina Jolie and Seth Rogen, and you know what I mean? So it's really annoying when it feels like the creative decisions are just being made for financial reasons, especially when all the dad stuff feels like filler. So it's why couldn't you have had them also in this movie? And even when they show up, it's they're not speaking, and it's it's so hard for me to be excited about them in this movie because I know that it's a shell of their character. I know they're not going to say anything, and I know it's just because DreamWorks wanted to save a little bit of extra money. But even Ian McShane's character, Tai Lung, he has dialogue, so it's a little nicer, but it's also you could tell they gave him a little bit too much dialogue, and it's oh yeah, this is really, guys, we got the original voice actor here, baby. Yeah, it's Tai Lung. During the epic fight at the end, he's making jokes and stuff, and he's right, left, yeah. He's who are you rooting for? And he's at this point, I don't even know. Yeah, even at the end fight of this movie when we're fighting, the chameleon is turning into a bunch of different things, it's too much, it's really a good summation of how I feel about this movie. We're just shoving in well, remember the Furious Five, remember the old villains, remember this? Okay, well now we have this huge monstrosity of a creature. It's so much less intimidating and cool and meaningful and powerful than just the fucking peacock Gary Oldman dude. There was real personal beef there between Shen and Poe. Shen is one of my favorite villains of all time. And it's not because he's just dominating physical presence. He's not at all. He's got cool, he does a thing with his fucking feathers in the back and whatnot. He's cool with blades and shit, and he's real fast. But where he had his real power was with his wit and with his words and his emotional stronghold that he had over Poe. Here we don't get anything like that. And it's funny, we're talking about in summations of how I feel about this movie. Right before it started, they played a peacock ad for the Megamind movie. It's a TV movie, it's going straight to Peacock. It's called Megamind versus the Bullshitters or whatever. Then it's going to spin off into a show called Megamind Rocks. It's a pilot movie for the show. And it's all on Peacock original or whatever. None of the original cast is back whatsoever. And it looks ugly. The jokes are so scraping the bottom of the barrel. This is horrible, embarrassingly bad. I think the Rotten Tomatoes score from the movie is at 0%. And I want to watch it just so I can fucking hate it. But yeah, this feels like that as well. This is we're going to make a Kung Fu Panda show about Awkwafina's character, so we'll have a movie where Poe is training Awkwafina's character, and then in the show it'll be about Awkwafina's character, and Poe will be there, but we can't afford Jack Black for the show, so we'll just kind of have him be a very much so a background piece, kind of like that Monsters at Work show that Disney Plus did, where it's it's about the new crew, but in the background is Mike and Sully, and they're show up every now and then, I guess. It felt like there's so little passion in this movie, and there was such little purpose whatsoever, and it just feels like such an add-on. We like to complain about, Toy Story 4, because Toy Story 3 was the perfect ending, and how could you possibly go on? The animation in Toy Story 4 is some of the greatest animation I've ever seen in my life. I am super emotional at the end of Toy Story 4 when Buzz and Woody, part ways. It's actually a really heartfelt movie. I really enjoy a lot of the humor, a lot of the emotional beats. There is justification in that movie's existence, I feel like. And that's why I'm fifth one? Fine, fuck it. If it's this good, then great. That's how I felt going into Kung Fu Panda 4, is it's well, If it's bad, whatever. If it's good, hey, that's another great movie I get to like. So I've been kind of like beating around the bush of my big problem with the movie, which is Awkwafina. I'm sick and tired of Awkwafina. She's in every fucking movie, and it's like, I understand why, you know, she's got a lot of like screen presence. You know, she has such a recognizable voice. She's so lively and full of personality. She's a great actress too. The Farewell is fantastic. It's clear now that she's just kind of slipped into this like comedic side character role. Like she does the same thing in Shang-Chi, which I think that's a huge problem in Shang-Chi is it's hard for me really to connect with Shang-Chi when his sidekick, who's tied at the hip with him and like made to be this like super important character, has so much more personality than our lead, where it's like, okay, well, I know nothing about Shang-Chi, but I can tell you a fucking bit about Awkwafina's character. Like the movie's fucking called Shang-Chi. So her jokes are like really standard, run of the mill, and it's just annoying hearing her voice still, because it's just like, we really appreciated when Margot Robbie came out after Barbie and she was like, yeah, so I'm gonna kind of like take a step back, do some producing. You know, people are probably sick of me. They saw me all summer, and so now, you know, I'm gonna take a step back and I'm gonna make my presence like feel like it matters. Like I know that these actors need to work, and you're not gonna be like, get me to be like, oh my god, Awkwafina is just her job and she needs to work. It's like oversaturating the market. In the long run, she's gonna have less success as an actress because she kept spamming her opportunities now instead of picking and choosing the best situations, limiting the amount that we see her so we can miss her, so that we like her more when we see her, and when we don't see her, we're like, oh, I'm excited about the next thing she's gonna do. No one is excited for the next Awkwafina movie. That's pretty much it with how I feel about Kung Fu Panda 4. It was fine. Like I even could justify like Poe's arc, you know, being a thing, but he masters the inner piece of Kung Fu, whatever the fuck, in the third one, and now we are finding this is really the final chapter because he's moving on, making something that lives on beyond him. So it does feel like a natural next step in that way, but like I said, it just feels too much like a TV pilot movie. I wish that there was more passion put into the story, the villain, the jokes, the successor, everything. The animation, I just didn't think this movie excelled in any way. A stronger man than me would give this movie a 2 out of 5 because it's more like a 2 out of 5 than a 3 out of 5, but I think it's fine. It's a 3. It's mildly entertaining. The humor's annoying. It's obviously the worst in the franchise. 5, 5, 4, 3. This one's 3. So I still enjoyed hanging out with Poe and these other characters, and it's okay. It's definitely not up to standard of the Kung Fu Panda franchise. I'm 24 now, and I'm not 8 anymore, or 11, or even fucking like 16. So obviously I'm going to accept new content in this franchise in a different way. So I understand it's not for me, but I really hold this franchise near and dear to my heart. So yeah, I'm gonna have a fucking opinion on it. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. Like, comment, subscribe, and tell me what your favorite Kung Fu Panda movie is. Mine is obviously the second one, Skadoosh.